Good morning and welcome. Today I would like to continue to bring light to a situation, bring light to what's going on in the news, and just discuss something that I saw in the headings today. And I want to shout out somebody who did something extremely brave, somebody who stands up, and this is what I talk about when I say as a community we need to stand up for our rights. I want to talk about Mr. Curtis Ingram. If you do not currently follow him on Twitter and social media, I suggest you do so. Very, 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 very brave young man. Follow him at Curtis Ingram 1 on Twitter. Um, and I want to talk about what he did. He is the brother of extremist wingnut, right wingnut, Laura Ingram. Now, Laura put out a diabolical, that's what you call it, a diabolical article, and I will talk about it in more depth in a second, but called Doom and Gloom. Um, and her brother, who is a gay man, shared the article and referred to his sister as a monster. And that's exactly what she is. And this is what I talk about. We need to stand up, we need to show up, and we need to hold these people accountable. No fear. Because the things that they're doing to demonize us. They're doing to make us seem like the bad guys when we're really trying to live our best life. So shout outs to Curtis for bringing it to our attention what his own flesh and blood, his own sister, is publishing to pretty much demonize and belittle us. So, going into the article, there were many things in the article. It's about a 9-minute article, and I had to sit through the pain of watching it all. Um, just extremely disturbing. Because Laura, first of all, she's not a news reporter. She's a commentator, and everything Laura says and does, not just in this article, but just in everything she ever does, is just to push a political agenda. She is extremely far right. She has no qualms about showing how biased and out of touch with reality she is, and only a propaganda news network such as Fox News will have a host like Laura Ingraham, like Carlson Tucker, like Sean Hannity, who are charlatans, and they are in the media to stir the pot and to cause hate and to just push their evil agenda and their distorted views of reality. And I appreciate people like Curtis who have the ability to stand up and to use their platforms and to call out these people because it needs to be done. Now, and this is weird because I don't have my usual, camera holder or my light. So I am trying my best with camera angle here. But I was watching this article, and Laura pretty much goes into what she calls school indoctrination of children, because she has a big problem with school talking about things like gender identity and um and sexuality. So she goes on to talk about the different generations, and how about 20% of Gen Zs now identify as LGBT, which is like 10% of millennials, like 5% of Gen X, and she's just pushing the issue about how the newer generations are more comfortable identifying as LGBT as the past, or she doesn't say more comfortable. What she says is that they are and they aren't. And then she talks about parental rights and all that. And then she talks about indoctrination. Well, I would argue that indoctrination is pushing an agenda on your child based on your political or your moral views. Like, I have a child, all right? And I'm an LGBT person. I am a father of a man, of a young man now. He's 13 years old. I love him to death. And I would never tell him, Aiden, you have to be bisexual because your father's bisexual, or you have to be this, or you have to be that. I always tell my child, just be you, just do you, just love who you love, and just be happy. And that's what I think the evil left wing agenda is. I have no qualms and shame. I am not a Democrat. I mean, I do tend to vote for Democrats when it comes to, a national stage because I want a chance of winning. But I don't consider myself a Democrat. I don't align myself with any political party. I am more, left leaning. I will, admit to that, and I don't have no problems with that. But I don't consider myself to be a hard Democrat or anything like that. But I mean, I just believe in decency, and I believe in just being you and leaving people alone to be who they are. And I also happen to work in education, and I am happy to just be out and be me and have no qualms about who I am as a person. And I think that's what the right fears. The right fears that their children are gonna run into people like me, people who are perfectly normal, perfectly happy, and satisfied and filled with life, and they're gonna learn that there's no shame in just being open and honest and being who you are and being true to your own identity. Um, and that's a shame. It's a shame that the right fears normalcy. You know what I mean? Because I don't believe that 20% of Gen Zs are, LGBT, and only single digits percentage of, you know, the baby boomers are not are LGBT, because I believe that they're probably a lot closer in percentages. It's just that the baby boomers were raised in a way to be ashamed of who they were. And as a member of the LGBT community and somebody who is open and out, and I talk to people about it and stuff, I can tell you that when it comes to people like boomers and Gen Zs, who are a lot older than me, by the way, they tend to come after people like me because they know we're LGBT, and they want to do things like they want to hook up and stuff, which of course I always turn away because I am happy in a relationship. But it's like they want it. But they're always closeted. They're usually married, and they're miserable. And that's what educators like me want to avoid. We want to avoid people being ashamed of just expressing their selves, their identity, their being. We want people to be full of life. We want people to focus on things like being who they are and achieving their goals in life. So when you say we want to send, and this is something that Laura says in her article, that you want to send kids to school so they can learn how to read and write. That's just BS, because there are multiple cases here in America. There's a specific case in West Virginia of a gym teacher that sat in health class, and talked to this whole class about Jesus and about sexuality and about choices. And Laura Ingraham did not say a damn thing about that. Why? Because she was in agreement with it. So they're in agreement with pushing a religious agenda, but they're not in agreement of pushing the reality that some people are of a different sexual orientation, and some people choose to not have their not choose. Some people, I hate the fact that I just used the word choose, but I'm not going to change this because human error is a thing, and I want to show this whole network that I'm not a perfect person. Some people are just simply their actual sex, their actual gender does not agree with the genitals they were born with, and they happen to be transgender, and they happen to be real people too, and we need to respect them as they are. So if I offended anybody by saying they choose to do that, I sincerely apologize from the bottom of my heart. It is things that happen, and I guess I could have gone back and edited this video, but I'm not going to, because I like to show my own weaknesses and my own vulnerabilities, and I want to show that I have the balls to apologize when I need to, and I do apologize for saying that. But going back to the original statement, there's one more thing that I want to talk about with what Laura said. Laura talked about, well, Laura named her article Doom and Gloom, and she made it to seem like this education that's all inclusive in schools are being made to groom children. What a bunch of BS. What a bunch of BS. You know what grooming is? If they were telling people they have to be LGBT, but they're not doing that. They're just showing all the options. They're telling people what's out there. They're telling people just be your fucking self. You know what grooming is? Telling a child that if they don't believe the way you do, or if they don't do the things that you do, or if they're not straight, they're going straight to hell. That's grooming. You are setting up a kid for failure because you are telling them that they need to be a certain way in order to get to some place where you want them to go, and you really have no idea the way to get there. Because if I say to any Christian person, I'm willing to debate anybody on this, if you believe that gay people are going to hell just because they're gay, you don't know Jesus. You don't. So I am ranting, I am angry, but it needed to be said, and I just wanted to say that stay tuned for more. Peace. I love you guys. Have a great day. But always stand up for what's right.